Hi, I'm Sandy Schreck for LBR Educates, and we're taking a look at some of the changes that we see happening in the tribute area. So urns are definitely on the rise, and so we have to think about other options for urns and what some of the mechanics are. So this design here was actually made in the square riser, but we used it on the diagonal rather than on the flat side to be able to add more depth into the composition. So you can see we've just used some vases in place of urns, but how we've come in, so we've got that strong focal area. So you want to take into consideration the size of the urn and the coloration of the urn in with your composition. It will become an integral part, but you do have to have a strong floral focal that brings you down and surrounds that and really makes it feel like a complete composition. This design here is actually made in the new event block. So we used a grande midnight brick, and you tape it in, tape to the tape, and then you're able to soak it. But you can see we created like a heart shape with some unique flowers. So doing that crossing neotropical trend where we have some of the tropical flowers in with some of the temperate flowers. And so just bringing that balance in. So we did some framing and created a shape with some of the aspidistra and used the bamboo greening pins to hold those in and kind of create that heart shape, and then just adding in the different florals that feed into each other. One of the things we had to talk about was the anthurium and how to look at the face of the anthurium and make sure that they work together. So as we were talking, what we talked to is you definitely want to think about that's a very directionalized placement. So if you come and bring your anthurium one to the other and then come up and then place that, then you're going to be able to get it to read that it feels like it goes together, and so that each of those flow into each other. So that was one of the lessons with that, but this has that really rich, deep colors. We've got the magenta carnations down in deep to be able to increase our value, but using some of the pomponi alstroemeria to be able to kind of bring in that other rich color and some other form flowers, and then added in some of the red hypericum to give it a little bit more of a resting space and contrast the textures between the feathery alstroemeria and then the shiny glossy hypericum coming in. That brings the glossiness of the red anthuriums one side to the other so that it felt like it was a unified composition. So this is another one of our urn surrounds, and this is actually made in one of the scenic shapes. So the scenic shapes came out with rainbow, and now they've added it in the midnight color. And so you can see it has a plastic core back, and then you come in, it has a good amount of foam in here. And so we did tape around the two legs of that, and then came in and just laid it on the table. And so you can see we were able to create a composition that comes in around that urn, but with the ends being open here, we were able to create a drape that comes off the table. And so on here, we utilize some of our pomponi gerbs that we grow here and some of the expression roses, but you can see how they stair step. So a pair of them here, here, and then over in here, so that it creates that motion throughout the composition. The yellow alstro stair stepping in the other direction, and so that comes up here, and then we're utilizing some of the other more neutral colors that help to bring that all together. But also the purple micro palms just to give a little bit more pop and contrast the texture. But you can see how that works really well as an urn surround, and it's easy to transport and is a great, great mechanic.